Hey viewers, I recently had a viewer ask about limiting screws and how to adjust them, and I've also had other viewers express confusion about what the limiting screws are for, and so I'm going to explain what they do and also how to adjust them. Generally, both your front and rear derailleurs will have a pair of limiting screws like these or these. So what the limiting screws do is they adjust for how much movement the cages will have, front or rear, is how far they can move this direction or this direction to keep the chain from falling off the gears. So one screw will limit how far it can move this way, and one screw will limit how far it can move this way. Now sometimes the limiting screws are labeled with like L or A for low or H for high, or they're just labeled low or high. Sometimes they're not labeled, but it's usually not too difficult to figure out which one is which just by kind of turning them and seeing what happens. On the rear derailleur, the high is for the small cog and low is for the big cog. On the front derailleur, the high is for the big chain ring and the L is for the small chain ring. Okay, now the one thing with the limiting screws is you rarely have to adjust them. Generally, you set them when you're installing the derailleur and then you're done. You generally aren't going to have to mess with them again. Unless you're going to be making major changes to the drivetrain, then you might have to readjust them a little bit. But generally, you set them, you forget them, done. Easy. I usually start off with the rear derailleur with the cable detached so that the derailleur is in its natural resting position with no tension on it, and with the chain on the small cog. And I'm going to start off with the high limiting screw, and if you don't know which one is which, just try turning one. So I'll try turning this one here. So I turn that about a half a turn, nothing happens, and so I'll go to the other screw here. And as I turn that, I can see the cage moving in and out. So that is the high screw there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by adjusting this so that the guide pulley is perfectly in line with this small cog there. And I can even turn the pedals there to make sure that it's going nice and smoothly. And so that'll be the natural resting position for the derailleur when there's no tension on the cable. Okay, I hooked up the shift cable and adjusted the rear derailleur so it's all shifting perfectly now. And so I'm not going to cover that in this video because I have that covered in a lot of other videos. But so now I want to adjust the low limiting screw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift it up to this biggest cog, or it's the lowest gear, like that. Now if it wouldn't go all the way up to the biggest cog there, what I would do is I would loosen this low limiting screw until it allowed the chain to move up there. What I'm going to show you what happened. Right now this screw is too loose. If I manually pull this cable, if I take this pedal here, you can see the chain actually kind of wanting to move over farther than that biggest cog. The only thing that's kind of preventing it is this spoke guard there. So what I want to do is tighten down this screw a little bit. On some you can just kind of tighten it down until you feel it stop. And so let me see. I'll just pull this cable. It's still trying to go up a little bit farther than that, so I'll tighten this down a little bit more here. And so now when I pull this cable, it's not trying to go up above that biggest cog. So I still want to test it, so I'll shift it down a little bit and shift it to make sure it still goes up to that biggest cog. And so now it seems to be working fine. It's going up to that biggest cog, and it's not trying to go beyond that. So right now I have the limiting screws on the rear derailleur all set. Okay, so now I want to set up the limiting screws on the front derailleur. How I go about doing this normally is I'll have the rear derailleur shifted up so it's on the biggest cog. I have the chain on the small chain ring in the front, and I have the cable unattached from the front derailleur. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the low limiting screw to where the cage comes over and just touches the chain. To bring the cage over, I tighten the screw. And on this one, this is the low limiting screw here. And so I'll just tighten this to where the cage comes over and just barely touches the chain. Now with the cage barely touching the chain, I'm going to attach the cable to the derailleur. And I have the shifter shifted into first gear. And I want the cable somewhat taut, but not like pulling the derailleur at this point. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen the limiting screw so that the cage moves a couple millimeters away from the chain. Like that. Now I can go ahead and test the shifting. Up to the biggest chain ring there. Not quite pulling down. And let me see. Loosen this a little bit. And so shifting halfway decent. Now we'll shift it to the small cog on the back. And the cage is just a little bit far over, so I want to kind of move the cage in just a little bit. So I'm going to tighten the high limiting screw just a little bit to keep it from coming over quite so far. See, it's already quieter there, but make sure that it still shifts okay. And I can try tightening it a little bit more. And there, it's working pretty good. And then one more test for the high limiting screw here is I'll go ahead and pedal and manually pull the cable tighter, and I don't want to see the chain trying to come off the big chain ring, and that looks fine. And I'm all done. I hope that answered any of your questions about how limiting screws, what they do, and how to adjust them. Hope you found my video useful or interesting. If you did, please give my video a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to my channel, click the big subscribe button so you can see new videos that come out. I'm always coming out with new ones. I'm over on Facebook, RJ the Bike Guy. Go over there, like my page. I post a lot of stuff over there. And I have a webpage, rjthebikeguy.com. Go over there, sign up to that page. I have my videos categorized. I have repair forums where you can ask questions. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.